Michael, what do you got for us?
Okay, look, we fight for a 2% pay rise, 2.5%. I just want to know, how much pay rise do you guys get?
Nothing.
Have you ever thought about having a pay cut?
We froze it. We froze it, and obviously with public servants in New South Wales, we've made it 3%, and I believe that 3% is fair and reasonable in the New South Wales public service. Now, under Labor's policy, they're going to remove that cap that will unravel expenses. That means that we cannot continue to invest in the things that matter to you. Chris will put forward and look after the public sector unions ahead of the people of New South Wales. Now, my job as Premier is to represent everybody, and you've got to make the difficult decisions. At 3%, for example, in Victoria, the pay rise for the public service is 1.5% every year. So at 3%, I believe that's fair and reasonable, and ultimately it ensures that we can continue to invest in the things that matter. And when it comes to preschools, it was just raised earlier. Chris has said 100 preschools. We're delivering 500 preschools. And why are we doing that? Because we manage money well, and we want to make those investments in our children's future. When you unleash 40% of the state's expenses, that's poor financial management. And what that means is when Chris can't tell you how much that's going to cost, that has real consequences for the people of our state, and it means we can't keep building the infrastructure to make a difference.
We should talk about your 500 childcare centres, because over the last 10 years, the government's built one additional childcare centre. So 500 means you're going to have to build one every 3 days. Which I think is just too, it's just too ambitious even for your government. But I'd just say, in relation to politician pay, it's not frozen at the moment, but we are running on a platform, if we're elected, that we will freeze it for 2 years. We'll also freeze the senior executive service in New South Wales. We'll reduce its size at the senior executive service level by 15%. And the reason for that is we could take it back to 2019 levels. It's my view that the public service in New South Wales is way too top-heavy. The salaries and the growth is all at the top and not at the bottom. Now, in relation to Dom's commentary about the wages cap, his decision to impose a wages cap, as it currently operates in New South Wales, the government says if a nurse comes to the Premier and says, I want to negotiate, the Premier says, well, I've got a wages cap, so I'm not going to pay you a cent more than this amount. And I've got a legislation to make it illegal for me to pay you a cent more. Now let's sit down and negotiate. And we've put aside, we're going from $41.9 billion, we've set aside up to $45.9 billion for wage increases over the next 4 years. But beyond that, we think New South Wales should be the same as every other jurisdiction in the country, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, and be able to sit down and negotiate with nurses, firefighters, police officers, with strict rules in place so that the budget's not worse off, but you are better off. And if you want to have a way of turning around our school performance and our hospital performances, you have to choose a different path. We've tried the Premier's way for the last 4 years. 4 more years of the same policy means 4 more years of the same.
Well, can I just say that is incorrect. The current policy at 3% with a cap means that if the public service can find savings above the cap, then they get an increase above the 3%. By removing the cap, that means that 40% of the state's budget, $47 billion of expenses, spirals out of control. That's what happened when Labor were last in government, and that's why nothing got built. At 3% in New South Wales, as I said, that's twice as much as the pay increase in Victoria. It is fair and reasonable, and it ensures that we continue to invest in the things that matter. We continue to
Victoria doesn't have a wage cap.
Continue to build, and they're getting 1.5%.
But they don't have
here in New South Wales, 3%, it's balanced, it's measured, and it ensures that we can continue to make the investments for every single family across our state.